All right, I haven't done a recap in a few days, so just coming back on here, haven't really felt well, so I had to skip a couple videos. However, today was a beautiful trade setup, and I always have to start with this. People will say, show me your chart and I'll show you if you're profitable. And what they mean is the indicators, how much stuff do you have? And I will agree that having a lot of indicators can clutter your charts, but it's the type of indicators, right? So the indicators that I have are perfectly designed to tell you when a setup is present. Just learning what everything means, right? So let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, the previous day, let's go ahead and jump on a 30-minute really quickly and look at our high time frame profile. So we know yesterday was an inside day, very nasty, very ugly, and we know that that will signal the next day it's a possibly really good trade, right? So it's either going to sweep the low or sweep the high depending on the direction, and once it sweeps, it's either going to pull back, reject, and keep pushing because this is resistance on a daily time frame or support on a daily time frame, right? And or it's going to push through, right? So basically what we're watching here is it pushing down overnight, right? And what we want to see is it swept previous day low, and we want to see if we get a bullish setup right here. And the target is going to be previous day high, because on a day like this, it's either going to reject here or it's going to push all the way through and take out the highs. And you can see today we put in a nice Judas daily profile candle for the next week. Now we're coming down to our bullish zone here, caught by silver lining. It tells you exactly the zones to look for. Caught it priced perfectly here. Caught price perfectly here, caught price perfectly right here, and then back up. So it tells you what zones to look for, right? So that was our bias for today. If we get a bullish setup, we're going to take it all the way to previous day high. So what you want to do is jump down to your entry time frame and see what the charts are looking like. So we didn't have compression with the EMAs, right? It was just kind of punching down. Then right here you have a high time frame sweep, right, with the hourly candle. And let's zoom in on this. I think I was on the 2-minute today. Yeah. So coming into our bullish zone, right, we have an 1 hour high time frame swing formation forming, and our oscillator, this oscillator is a little bit complex, but it's the cross tells you it's primed and ready for longs, and the way that it's structured to be able to curve up tells you that it's ready and conducive for longs. You can see that this candle is lime green. Why? Because that is the candle, that is the moment it flipped bullish, right? Right there on that candle, flipped bullish, and that is the sweeping candle and close, letting you know it's a bullish order flow now. And you have extreme bullish volume coming in. This is all perfect. This is all conducive for longs, right? So you could have entered on that candle or the very next candle. Nice displacement candle. It's purple, so it's telling you it's a displacement candle. These series of purple candles, right? Not all candles are colored in some sort of way, but the ones that are colored are telling you information, and that's the one that you want to focus on, right? So nice displacement, 2 entry candles right here to get the beginning of the move. This third one, a little bit of a late entry if you chose to enter in on that. Why? Because even though it is punching above all EMAs and closing above VWAP right there, that's a big drop, right? You have to consider that a pullback could be 100 points, right? So I try to get the earliest entry possible, and that's what these indicators do. They tell you exactly when is the moment to get in, and the first two candles are perfect for entry. So again, late entry here, but still works, right? Now, price still continues to displace out these three black lines. This is what we call the hold flip zone. This zone either needs to hold as resistance to reject price, or it needs to be flipped. And if it does get flipped, you know price is coming to these levels above, which it does perfectly. So it breaks, it displaces through the hold flip zone, which is your first indication that it's going to come to these upper levels. And then it finally begins a pullback here. But as you can see, we're still bullish. The strength is still on the bullish side here, hasn't flipped bearish yet. So, and we're above the EMAs and VWAP still, right at the hold flip zone. You would expect this to hold, and then it finally finishes the move to previous day high, aligned with the bearish silver lining level right here perfectly, and you'd be out the trade, right? There would be no need to hold it beyond that. You might be able to leave a runner, but you can't expect, you know, too much more. If you would have entered in on that first candle, that's 300 points. If you would have entered in on the second candle, 265 points. You got to be happy with that. Perfect delivery. That's exactly what you want to see. Indicators perfectly telling you everything that you need to know, right? Really good trade. And then the rest of this is kind of choppy. You could have, this is where scalpers come in and they will scalp these moves. I try to capture the move of the day. One shot, one kill, right? I don't like to scalp the little moves. But I did take a short as well on ES because it was perfectly aligned with structure. So we know this was the opening move again on ES. Perfect. It told you exactly where it flipped bullish, and then you got a nice displacement candle right after as well. So either of those two candles, or you could have waited for a pullback, and then you get nice displacement candles for re-entry to take it the rest of the way. Now, once we made this move, we pushed back and we kind of chopped in here a little bit. And then I noticed that it failed to take this high, in which case NQ did take that high. I believe, no, I'm mistaken. NQ did not take the high, but you know, this is a failure swing here, right? ES is failing to take this high, and then it starts to accumulate. You know to expect a pullback. It does pull back. I don't trade here because it's not really, even though it's conducive for shorts based on the oscillator, and it flips bearish right here on this little black candle right here. Flips bearish and then starts to break down, but you know, I didn't see any bearish volume until way later in the move, and I know that price is bullish, right? So I can't short yet. So it does bounce here, and then I noticed that it started to accumulate again. We have another failure swing. So this is a failure swing, right? So that means the lows are in jeopardy. So this comes down, fails to take the lows. So this is another failure swing. So that means that the highs are now in jeopardy. So I was expecting it to keep punching up. I wasn't really expecting to take a trade, but I was watching this. And now the highs are in jeopardy. Then I noticed it started accumulating here. And I told myself, if this performs another failure swing, now these lows are in jeopardy right here. So I wanted to see a little bit more. I got my signal here, this red cross, letting me know that this is conducive for shorts. All the lines are converged up here, ready to drop. And it flipped bearish right there on this dark candle. I entered right there with my stop at the high, right? and I had my first partial at this low and my second partial at this low here. And then I did have a runner for this low just in case it made a really drastic move down. However, once it took this TP1, I noticed that it was kind of coming down a little bit slower. I did expect it to take out this guy, so it took TP2, and then we were inside of a bullish 30-minute fair value gap, and NQ was coming back to the hold flip zone, so I knew that we could potentially get a bounce there. So I just ended up closing out that runner, not even waiting. I just closed it out right there. So it was a nice little short. And then that was it. You wrap up the day, right? You don't keep hunting these little scalps. I mean, these are, people can scalp these things, but you know, you can get really chopped up in those. I like to wait for when everything, all the planets are aligned with all the indicators telling me, right, we're at a bearish silver lining level, performing another failure swing. All these confluences are telling me that is a high probable trade, right? So yeah, just another really good day, and just showing off the indicators a little bit here. So if you're interested, the Discord is in the link if you want to come check it out, ask any questions. Got a couple people in there, still very small, right? New to the trading community here, right? So just check us out. If you have any questions, go ahead and subscribe and comment, and I'll be looking forward to it.